Thank you for joining me for this dose of virtual vitamin Z. My name is Sandy, and I'm an education specialist for the Detroit Zoological Society, where we celebrate and save wildlife every day. Today, we are going to learn about a special animal, an animal that almost became our national bird. Can you guess what it is? If you guessed a wild turkey, you're totally right. We are going to learn about the wild turkey with Matt, who is one of the zookeepers here at the Detroit Zoo in the bird department.
So yeah, wild turkeys have a pretty large range. Almost complete, well, not completely in the U.S., but almost all of the U.S. has turkeys in it. And their northern range only just gets into Canada just by a hair in a couple areas. Colder and nastier the winter gets, it's going to be harder for them to find food. You know, if there's too much snow and it's just too cold, I think they can't survive. And then their range also extends quite heavily into Mexico. So there's quite a range pretty far south into Mexico on turkeys.
From what I understand, they live in forests areas.
Yeah, they'll be in different woodlands. You can have woodlands that have conifers or mixed hardwoods. And they'll generally be in areas also where there are nice openings, possibly grasslands, areas that are going to provide them an ample food source.
And what do they eat?
They have a pretty mixed diet. They're kind of rummaging around for what they can find. So they'll be eating seeds, maybe acorns, different nuts like that, berries, definitely picking at insects. So pretty variable diet.
And they stay in the area. Do they migrate at all?
Not really too migratory, but they will move around quite a bit. A turkey might move a couple miles in a day just within its search for food and throughout its daily behavior. And certainly seasonally, they're gonna be moving around as they're looking, especially coming into breeding season. They may be looking for mates and whatnot, but they don't have true migratory patterns like a lot of our songbirds that, say spend the winter down in Central America and then come up here to breed in the summer. They don't do any type of movement like that.
So if I think about the size of a turkey, can they really fly?
Yep, they most certainly can. They're I wouldn't say that they're the most streamlined flyer or the quickest, but flight is definitely a part of their lifestyle. And in fact, they roost up in trees. So you got to get up in the tree some way. But for a big bird like that, it certainly would be quite a meal. So predators would certainly love to get a turkey. So by being able to fly up into a tree and spend the night there, that's certainly going to help them with their chances of survival. But yeah, they're not built as a long distance flyer by any means.
Do they, you said they roost in trees. Does that mean that they also build their nests in trees?
So they roost in trees, but they do not build their nests in trees. They might build their nest at a base of a tree. They're going to build their nest on the ground. They're generally going to, it'll be pretty simple, maybe just a pile of sticks and or some leaf material. Spouting off to a different species, brush turkeys, who are way over on the other side of the planet. They build really elaborate nests. They'll build a pile of leaves that may be, I don't know, it literally may be 20 feet by 10 feet wide. It just massive and tall as me. Is all that organic? They don't have to incubate their eggs. So as all that organic material is decaying, it actually incubates their eggs for them, and they have a really unique, they can sense the temperature with their beaks. They'll lay quite a few eggs, maybe a dozen, give or take a few. So you certainly have probably seen pictures of a mom with a lot of babies, and they might have a dozen, and they are pretty precocial. They'll be running around at a young age and carrying along with mom and looking for food. And they're certainly a nice little prey item too. So they have a lot of them because I'm sure quite a few get picked off. Winter can be a little bit tougher for them, but they're a very opportunistic bird, and they're going to be looking for what they can find. And by having such a varied diet, obviously in the winter, if they're a more northern turkey, they're not going to be finding so many insects, but that's when maybe they're going to be finding all those acorns that have dropped or different seeds.
That also plays into, like, when I think about putting my garden to bed for the winter, like I leave seed heads on top of my plants and things like that. I think about songbirds when I did that, but I imagine it would also be important for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be helping all of those songbirds. It'll help the turkeys, and it'll even help a lot of the finches. I mean, there are a lot of finches and songbirds that actually migrate to where we live. This is their wintering ground. They actually breed further north. So when you're thinking about those things at home and leaving those seed heads and leaving your garden, you're definitely helping feed them.
Thanks so much for joining me for this dose of virtual vitamin Z. If you want to learn more about turkeys and potentially different options you can use as alternatives for turkey for an upcoming holiday dinner, join my colleague Brad tomorrow for his dose of virtual vitamin Z, and he's going to share some really cool recipes.